So let's now move on to the second part of the headline. Davidson has ties with Trump's billionaire bondsman, Don Henke. You and I talked about Don Henke before, but remind our viewers who he is.
Don Henke is the billionaire CEO of the company that underwrote the bond that Trump used for bail in his New York civil trial. So remember, there was the whole question of, is Trump going to have to sell properties or not? Who's going to loan any money to him? And it was Don Henke. I spoke with Henke shortly after that became public. He said he had never met Trump, that he was a little bit of a supporter, but just really thought it was a good business deal.
So he just never met Trump, little bit of a supporter. Does he have any other relationship with Trump's businesses or anything like that?
He is the largest shareholder of Axos Bank, which used to be the bank of the internet, and it is who Donald Trump turned to for refinancing both Trump Tower in New York and his Miami area resort. There was a question a couple years ago of how is he going to get out of all this debt that's coming due, and the answer was Axos Bank.
So now bring us to how Henke and Davidson, the attorney, are connected.
Yeah, so I found out about this shortly after I published the article where I spoke to Henke, and somebody just tweeted at me like, you should check out this case involving his son. And it was a lawsuit that 3 Jane Does filed in April of 2020, alleging that Henke's son, Don Rufus Henke, who goes by Rufus, had the allegations of sexual assault, forced trafficking, and that he also gave them several sexually transmitted diseases.
And was Don Henke, Rufus's dad, was he involved in that lawsuit at all?
No evidence that he was. Rufus's attorney said he wasn't. Somebody else with knowledge of the case said he wasn't. And then Don Henke also said he was not. Rufus Henke left the family business about 10 years ago. And Don said he and his son only see each other about once every 2 years.
And so now is Keith Davidson involved in this lawsuit anymore at all?
No, he's not. So he filed the suit on behalf of the 3 Jane Does, and I should make clear that Rufus Henke has fought this tooth and nail throughout the last couple of years. He has denied the allegations. He has filed a countersuit, and it was in 2022, 2 of the 3 Jane Does agreed to a stipulated judgment with Rufus Henke, in which both cases were dropped, both the complaint and the cross complaint, in exchange for no money. It showed, if you look at the court docs, it said no money was changed. I talked to somebody else familiar with the case, and they said that, there was no private settlement or anything like this. These 2 women just dropped the case. And shortly thereafter, Davidson put in a notice that he wanted to quit the case as well. So we have 1 Jane Doe. Jane Doe number 1 is still pursuing these allegations, and the judge just recently rejected Rufus Henke's move to get the case dropped. So it is moving on to trial in late May, and Jane Doe number 1 is representing herself.
I know we don't know why, but is it normal for people to drop a case, settle essentially without getting any money in return?
It seems like this might have been a situation where Davidson wanted to cut his losses. The potential payout of a verdict with 3 plaintiffs is going to be a lot higher than with 1. And it might just have been one of the, is this the best use of his time? But I don't know for sure. He would not talk to us on the record.
And now let's talk about the last part of the headline, Charlie Sheen. How is attorney Keith Davidson involved here? You mentioned it at the beginning, but dive a little deeper there for us.
Yep, got a little bit ahead of myself. The headline couldn't go into chronological order. Getting that headline together was really a work of art that required the help of 3 other people. A lot of keywords put in there. He represented a woman who was a pornographic actress who was in Charlie Sheen's room when he had that infamous meltdown. I guess it was in about 2010, and he represented Sheen on he represented the woman on an appearance where they were both on Good Morning America.
And in general, what clientele does Davidson have? What types of cases really is he taking on?
Pretty similar to what we've just described. The Smoking Gun website wrote a profile of him several years ago with a headline, "Celeb Dirt to be Sold, You Better Call Keith." There was the Charlie Sheen case there. He advertises that he secures big payouts for sexual assault, STG transmission, and negligence. So, and this is what his business is. He's not looking at white collar crime so much as this kind of stuff.
Stormy Daniels and Charlie Sheen, both high-profile names now, they sued Davidson in the past. Have his ethics ever been called into question in any other instances?
He did a couple times. Again, like back in 2010, his law license was suspended by the California bar for 90 days. Some clients he had been representing in a medical malpractice came forward and complained that their case was tossed because Davidson failed to do his job. He didn't show up at hearings. He didn't file motions that he was supposed to. So he lost his law license for 90 days, an agreement that he came to. So he fought it for a little bit, but then had reached a settlement. And Hulk Hogan also sued him, alleging that on behalf of his clients, Davidson tried to extort Hogan over the sex tape, and Davidson did settle that.
And he was a witness for the prosecution, Keith Davidson. Are any of his alleged actions or anything he said on the stand, is that damning to Trump? What does that look like?
Yeah, he mentioned that his recollection was that this was done for political reasons, and that's one of the things that the Manhattan prosecutor's office needs to prove to try to make this from just being a misdemeanor into a felony, is that it's connected to a campaign finance issue. So they've said that the payment to Stormy Daniels was a campaign finance violation because it was not properly reported. So Davidson was up there to show that, yes, this was campaign related. This was not Donald Trump just doing it as a private individual trying to, preserve his good name.